guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to my urban homestead. Today I'm going to talk about trees. Now I'm not going to bore you guys with all of those nitty-gritties that you always hear from every kind of environmentalist on the planet. That trees are important for oxygen, that they help with reducing the carbon dioxide in our atmosphere, how we need rainforests in just to survive. Now I'm going to talk more about how trees help us in the urban area and the bigger impact that they make in our lives. For that I'm going to tell a story. Now we used to have someone that lived next door to us. We just called him Oomie, in Afrikaans it's just uncle, and he was just next door and he loved his garden. He absolutely adored it, to the point that we actually used to get jealous of him, because every morning he'd be out in his front yard clearing the weeds out of his garden. He would be pruning his trees. He had massive citrus trees, 3 of them in his backyard, and it used to be part of my childhood to be out here in the backyard watching him picking the oranges from off his trees with his grandchildren. But eventually he had to move because he was already quite old when I was born, so he moved and new people moved into where he was, and there was a radical change. Gone were those beautiful flower beds that we had grown to be jealous of. They were replaced with giant walls. Gone were those pristine trees that he would go fluff over with a prune shears every single day. They were replaced with just grass. And now recently, those citrus trees that I had admired so much, they are being taken down. And when I heard that, the first thing I felt was just this heartache, because it felt like a part of my childhood was being ripped away. Yes, it's someone else's garden. You can't tell another person what they can do with their garden. Unfortunately, I know that lots of us urban homesteaders would love to be able to do that, but it's not what we can do. And that made me realize just how important trees are. Trees bring together a community. You will see stories all over the world where if someone has fruit trees in their front yard, that people will pick fruit from them, not because they're greedy, but because they are hungry. And so there you fulfill a community need. The fruit you get from a fruit tree, it will be too much for you alone to eat. So usually people with fruit trees will go around to their neighbors offering fruit to them. Heck, you can even go and start a bartering system of fruit trees, where you say, okay, say I have guava, and my neighbor I know has the most beautiful apples that I've ever seen. So you tell that neighbor, look here, I would like your apples. Will you like some guavas in exchange? They say yes, and there you go. You've got a bartering system. And so you see, trees do much more than just be this ornament that we make them to be. They are actually where memories can be made. Every tree has a story. Like I will say this one that I'm in front of. This one is not a fruit tree. This is called a white stinkwood. It does not stink. Why it was given that name, I'm not sure, but it's called a white stinkwood. These trees are indigenous to South Africa, so please, if you are able to plant one, do plant them. I'll get into the nitty-gritties of that in a moment. But this particular one was brought to us in a coffee can. Now, just imagine this giant tree. It was at the back of a truck with its brother, both in individual coffee cans, brought back to us. It was just this tall. We planted it. The brother did not survive. This one did. And now, as you can see, it is giant. Now, much as I am an advocate for planting trees, and as many trees as possible, I am an advocate for knowing when to plant them, where to plant them. Please, do not just buy a bunch of trees and plant them wherever. Do your research. This white stinkwood is a example of it. You see, when we got it, we thought that it had roots. It would go straight down. It is a common misconception that all trees, they just have a root that goes down. You can plant them anywhere. It's not. That's not what happens. Because later on, we started seeing that the walls in the back were beginning to lean. We didn't know why until we started doing our research, and we realized white stinkwoods are known for having what they call invasive roots. What that means is that the roots stay close to the top of the ground and they push everything up and away. That means that if you really wanted to keep this, it has to be in the middle of the yard, somewhere where the roots won't really make much of a difference. In fact, if we were to go to the back, you'd be able to see what you think is just like a log or something is actually the roots sticking out of the ground. That is an example of invasive roots. And that is why, unfortunately, some stage this tree is going to have to go out, not because we want the space, but because unfortunately we planted it in the wrong place. Now, if we go over here, you can see my beautiful mulberry tree. Again, this one has its own story. I got it on a whim at a big nursery outside of town. When I got it, again, it was no bigger than these. And that was 2 years ago. Now it's this tall. Now this one is in a perfect spot. It's away from any of the walls. It is away from anything that it can damage. Another thing I will tell you, please, before you plant your trees, check the blueprints of your house and see where your plumbing system runs. Why I say that is because, say you want to get a citrus tree. You get the citrus tree and you plant it. Unfortunately, trees, if they're planted above plumbing systems, especially the old pipes, they will, and I say this as a warning, they will have their roots go through those pipes and into them. What that means is you start getting sinkholes, you start having a lower water pressure, and for all you know, the water might actually burst out of the ground, and then you have to pay a lot of money just so that you can get it repaired. So please, guys, make sure that when you get trees, as beautiful as they are, as important as they are, first do your research. Make sure you know what type of tree you're getting. Make sure you know if the tree, especially if you're getting fruit tree, if you need 1 or 2 trees to get fruit. Number 2, you need to know how the roots grow, where the roots grow. Because if you get, say, like our white stinkwood, you get one that has roots that stay above the ground, you're going to have a problem, especially if you plant it near a wall. Number 3 is also make sure that whichever tree that you get is allowed in your country. When I made the example of guavas, yes, some people do plant guavas in South Africa, but something I recently found out is that guavas is actually illegal to grow because of how much water they need. Now, they're illegal to grow in South Africa. Might be that in your country they are not illegal to grow. If they're not illegal to grow, go ahead, grow them. But always, always do your research. Thank you, everyone, and happy planting.